Okay, let's talk quickly about images in Figma. It's quite easy to work with images in Figma, but they've kind of hidden some of the key features like cropping behind some keyboard shortcuts, which can make it kind of confusing. So I hope to demystify that for you right now. So let's say that we have a frame here, we're working on some design, and we want to add an image. What I will do is I will take this image from my desktop and drag it into Figma. And it became super huge, so I'm going to scale it down to fit in here. And this image, quite often, the first thing you want to do is crop it. So you can just resize it like this, and it will use some kind of like fill property to make sure that things are still in view. And you can actually see that what this is, like an image, when you drag it into Figma, it's essentially a rectangle with a background. So you'll see that you have this rectangle and it has a fill property, which is that image. And in here you can change the exposure, you can tweak with some of the settings for the image. But what you can also do is change how you want it to fill up that rectangle. So you can use fill, which is what is enabled by default, or fit, or crop, or tile. And so very often fill is like the thing I need, but I often want to crop the image. And so you can go to crop here, and now you see both. This is the handles for the rectangle that you've created, but then you can see the edges of the actual image out here. So now you can sort of go in here and increase the size of the image and position the surfer inside your rectangle, and then you just click outside to finish. So you have that rectangle, and then you have the image as like a separate thing that you can move around, and together they create your image. And so I actually only now noted that this is how you enter the crop tool. So typically what I will do is I press Option on my key and I'll double click, and that will open up the crop editor. But maybe it's easier to remember to just like go here and choose crop, and now you can play around with the different crops. And just remember, you have one big thing, which is the image itself, and then you have a rectangle, which is like the viewport for that image, so to speak, the thing that actually is visible inside your design. And because this image is just like any other rectangle, you can change things like the border radius, you can give it a shadow if you wanted to do that. So yeah, it's just like a regular rectangle. I think that's pretty much anything you need to know about images inside Figma. This time we dragged this from my desktop, but you can also do things like if you have a rectangle and maybe you've created an app icon, so it has like a nice rounding and you've added a shadow to it, and now you realize, oh, I actually want this to have a background image. Well, you can do that this way as well. You can go to the fill, and instead of adding a color, you add an image here. And so you go here and choose an image, and now we can choose this guy from the desktop, and now we have that image in here as well. And so this is why I said that like an image is just a rectangle. Well, now you have a rectangle with a background of image, which is exactly what you had up here as well. And so now we can do the same thing. I can go into crop mode. Let's zoom in on the surfer, put that surfer in here, and now we have a lovely app icon with the background image. So that's images in Figma, really basic, but they've made it kind of complex to find that crop tool, which can really trip me up sometimes.